Microtransactions have been a part of video games for years, but in recent times they have become a very talked about and controversial subject. In this documentary, you will see the effects microtransactions have had on the gaming community and how you can avoid racking up a huge bill. As an avid gamer myself, I have my own strong opinions about microtransactions, and I wanted to find out what others really think.
My understanding of microtransactions is that they are an in-game currency. You can buy them obviously in-game, and they give you rewards or content that you have bought.
It has opened my eyes to how easy it is to make a transaction, and how children, they don't relate a click of a buy button to actual real money.
What started this debate was Star Wars Battlefront 2. When the beta version was released, it had loot boxes which unlocked random content within the game. This caused concern for a lot of fans due to the fact that you could be spending a lot of money but receiving very little in return. However, EA, the publisher, assured fans that these wouldn't affect the gameplay. When the game was released, it was a catastrophe, as aspects of the game had become pay to win, which meant that if you didn't have the money, then you wouldn't have an edge on the game. The fans were so outraged that when EA tried to justify their reasoning on Reddit, the comment received the biggest amount of downvotes in history.
So, on FIFA 18, I spent around about £400 to £500 on FIFA points in Ultimate Team. Obviously, it helped me out a lot with the team that I was ending up with, but it's money that I did not need to spend at all, and it's just a crazy amount to kind of watch disappear in front of my eyes.
I spent about £120 on FIFA, but I don't do that anymore. I don't have FIFA 19 now. And then Fortnite, I'm spending about £60, but I'll probably spend like another £100 on.
As a whole, I feel like microtransactions will stay within gaming, and I don't believe that will change. It's a way of making money. Obviously, it works really well. A lot more people other than me spend a lot more money on them, and obviously now streaming is becoming a massive thing. People are going to be buying a lot more to support streams and whatever, like the big streams, Ninja and stuff. Like every single thing that comes out buys. So it's a really well funded and clever sort of way of getting.
I think the gaming industry shouldn't really worry about microtransactions because they're going to happen in any game. They're getting a bigger thing, and it just works. Like every player is going to want more content and everything like that. And at the end of the day, they've sort of seen the opportunity to make that into money.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 caused so much furore that in some states in America, including Hawaii, microtransactions have become illegal as they are considered a form of gambling. In Belgium, they have banned them completely, meaning any game with microtransactions in has to stick to the regulations and lock players from accessing these features.
I think the bit that concerns me, particularly as a parent, is that I think that for some games the microtransactions aren't so obvious, or they're done in such a way as they become very addictive, and the games that are being played might be played by young people who don't have access to their own money, so they often are using an account which has already been set up by a parent, and they are oblivious or unaware of the impact that some of these transactions cost, and can build up enormous bills very quickly without really understanding how or why they've done that.
My son was in the other room playing on the computer. So I went through to the other room and I said to him, have you been buying something on the PlayStation? He was like, no. And then he said, oh no, I bought one little thing. And I was like, what have you bought? And it was something for Fortnite. It's called a battle pass. And I said, well, how much are they? And he was like, $8.99 or something like that. It seemed really odd because he swore it's just the battle pass, mummy, just the battle pass, hadn't got anything else. So I phoned the bank and just said, could you tell me a bit more about the transaction? Was it £60 in total or was it lots of small transactions? And they said that it was actually the same transaction lots of times. So what my son had done, he'd clicked on the battle pass but hadn't actually waited and been patient for it to come through. So just basically kept clicking it, just waiting for it to come through by clicking it.
There is a popular game which suffered directly with player numbers in relation to microtransactions, Destiny 2. It had a number of downloadable content extras, or DLC. This content that was more interesting to the players was locked behind microtransactions, which meant that after paying £20 for the DLC, you would have to pay an additional fund that ranged from £3 to £100. People who played the game, me included, were very frustrated about this fact, and it ruined the experience. They did resolve the issue, but players were still very apprehensive about the game and were not as eager to play it in case they had to pay out more money. Microtransactions have always been a feature of video games, but they haven't been as prominent as they have been in the last few years. A lot of companies have found it a very viable way to make more money. One of the most popular games at the moment, Fortnite, is free, but you can spend real money on in-game items that change the way your character looks, and this has allowed the creators, Epic Games, to make a lot of money through this feature, and many families have inadvertently let their children play the game without realising the hidden costs.